Ball game on our hands as we get set for the second half of basketball.
Checking out the game Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is having. He's got 10 points, and he's put one three-pointer on the board.
You know what, though, Clark? It wouldn't be a bad idea going forward to try to let him do a little more damage from beyond the arc.
And now let's check out the lineups courtesy of Gatorade, all fueled up and ready to go for the second half of basketball. On the court for the Pistons, Jackson and Caldwell-Pope, the guards. Ilyasova out there with Johnson. And it's Drummond in at the center. And Brooklyn has possession. Following the three by Detroit. Johnson can't hit.
And look, Joe Johnson last season, not his best statistically, but boy, did he show some heart. I mean, he was one of the catalysts for Brooklyn making the playoffs, especially when Brook Lopez returned healthy and the two could play off of one another. And really nothing like a good old-fashioned throwdown to get a team going.
And Greg, they do need to get going. They wouldn't mind, shaving a couple more points off that lead right away.
Well, if the defense keeps giving up easy baskets like that, it won't be a lead for long.
Talking about Joe Johnson, I'm not going to lie, last year wasn't one of his best statistically, Clark. His shooting accuracy was on the low end. His turnover numbers were high. It wasn't very pretty.
But for Joe, Kevin, I don't think it was about the numbers last year. It was about wanting to compete and to win. And he's developed a champion's will over the years. And I would like to see him finally achieve his goal of maybe winning the championship. I think he deserves it. He's been consistent. He's been solid. And now you see some maturation with him as well.
Nets trail by 8. Here's Sloan. Lopez a screen. Johnson outside. Clock at 6. To the inside. Lopez inside. Working on Drummond. Lopez, no luck.
That's 1 for their first 4 to start the second half.
Jackson kicks to Drummond. The feed now to Caldwell-Pope. Young against Drummond. Rejected by Young, and he gets it back. And the shot clock expires. 24-second violation. Bargnani is checked in for Lopez. For Brooklyn, they've gotten just one of their first 4 shots to fall since coming out of the locker room at the break. Young, a screen on Jackson. To the paint, off the screen, and it's Young finishing it off.
Now that's finishing your work right there.
Powerful two-hand jam, you're right.
And I tell you what, if he's got a few more of those in him, this lead will start shrinking even further.
And Detroit has possession. After the basket by Brooklyn.
Oh, and look at how well he led him in there. Really, he passed him open for that deuce.
Feeds it to Bargnani. Trying to find Johnson. He's got it now. Johnson with the block.
They've been the glass eaters today, guys. A ton of effort out of them down low.
It's been a difference maker for them in this game. That's what's put them in front.
They're relying on their three-point shooting and getting pretty good results right now.
You're right. 3 of their last 5 makes are from beyond the arc.
Now a timeout called by Brooklyn. Tough loss coming against Cleveland in their last game played.
And that kind of loss sticks with you for a while because they probably felt they were the better team on that night. They just could not make the plays down the stretch.
Guys, there are times when you would rather lose by double digits than to let a win get away from you when you thought you had. And that sometimes is harder to deal with.
And here's Jackson after the three-pointer from Joe Johnson. Drummond a screen. Outside Jackson. Pass to Ilyasova. Puts up a 3. They get it again. Another shot. Johnson with the block. Here's Sloan. Johnson outside. Over in the corner, Brown. Johnson against Johnson. Johnson attacking. And so he draws the foul on the shot. A trip to the line to shoot 2.
And I feel like there's a reason Joe Johnson has gotten a number of astronomical contracts. It's because he does everything for you. He's like one of those items you buy that touts everything you need, nothing you don't. Well, to me, that's Joe Johnson.
Clark, when you take a look at Joe Johnson, and if you were on a good team, a team that was contending for a championship, where ideally would you like him to be? Where would you slot him?
I'd put him in that first or second scoring role because he's so good and scores so effortlessly. And at some point, I think he's going to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy.
The dive for the ball, and it's out of bounds. They say it was last touched by Jackson. Here's Johnson. He's got 10. There's a screen by Robinson. Sloan passes to Robinson. And a big bounce off the rim, but it sinks right in.
A lot of space right there to get that shot off.
Not a very good job of the defender getting over the top of that screen in that particular play.
Now here's Jackson. 7 points in the game. And there's the pass to Drummond. From 8, the shot misses.
And being that close to the hoop, I thought he had enough room to finish that one.
Here's Sloan. Bargnani a screen on Drummond. And Sloan kicks to Bargnani. There's the 3. It's deflected.
You know, he just hasn't looked right to me. A bit out of sorts, if you will. Something's off with his mechanics, at least as I look at it.
Now here's Jackson. He's playing a pretty big role for him at the offensive end, averaging about 12.5 points a game. Here's Drummond. Offensive struggles continue, missing again. Nets trail by 4. Johnson, that's for 2. Takes a big high bounce and goes in. Johnson's got 12 in the game.
And when they desperately needed to get things turned around, they were able to rally and get back into it.
And Greg, it was really their defense just as much as their offense that served as the real catalyst, and I think it allowed them to put that run together.
I love his shot selection today. He set the bar for the rest of the team.
Here's Sloan, picked by Bargnani. Kicks it to Johnson. To the paint. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot. These are the teams that have been really dominant in the paint so far this season. Number 1, the Nets.
Well, Kevin, you and I have talked about it time and time again. Rebounding is what wins games, and this team has been outstanding on the boards. That's why they've led the league in rebounding and also have put together a good record as well. You know, it's been a bad day for them at the line today as a whole, and far too often, that's the case for this team.
Here's what Brooklyn's going with right now. McCullough's checked in for Johnson. Bogdanovich comes in for Brown. And Shane Larkin subbed in for Donald Sloan. Now here's Jennings. He's got 10. Down low, here's Baines. And that one is stuffed right through.
Taking it to the rack with power right there.
And hammering down with the two-handed slam.
Just piling on the lead with a dunk like that.
Here's Larkin. He's got 5. The dish now to Bogdanovich. Lets it go from deep, and the shot is good. Bogdanovich has got himself going with the triple, his first basket of the game. After the Nets' big moves the past couple years, they were looked at as an older team, but you break it down, and you know, Greg, they're not as old as you think.
Actually had the 5th youngest team of anyone in the postseason. And so, though they seem older just because so many of their players had playoff experience or came into the league at a young age.
Reedy's checked in for Brooklyn. And a switcher also for Detroit. Drummond's checked in. Johnson dishes to Blake. Rebound by Larkin.
The defense there got away with a major lapse.
Nice ball movement by Brooklyn. A nice shot by Bogdanovich.
And, you know, for the Nets, the roster's average age was about 2 years younger at the end of the 2015 season than where they were at the end of 2014. They made a point to get younger.
Here's Jennings following the three-pointer by Brooklyn. Johnson, the pass to Jennings, and it's Baines in the corner. 5 to shoot. It's back to Jennings. Again, the miss by the Pistons.
And even though the Nets were younger last season, they were tough in tight games, playing really like a bunch of veterans, and went 10-2 on the year in games decided by 3 or fewer points.
Here's Bogdanovich. Here's Reed. And that's good. A nice job in the glass as they pick up 2 on the second effort.
If you battle for the offensive rebound and come up with it, you're guaranteed a high-quality shot on a follow just like he got there.
Drummond, and he slams it one-handed.
His eyes just simply light up when he gets that close to the bucket, and you just know what he's going to do with the basketball.
Here's Larkin. He's got 5. Pass to McCullough. All alone. Detroit with the rebound. They come into this one following a loss to the Thunder.
And no matter how well you defend, when you shoot that poorly, it's going to be a very difficult challenge for you to get a win.
Yeah, there was sort of a snowball effect in that game too, guys. I mean, what started as a cold night for a few guys turned into a cold night for just about everybody. They're getting on a roll inside. Their last 3 field goals have come from inside the paint area.
There's got to be a wall of defense when it comes to attacking the paint. Plain and simple.
Brooklyn making some changes. Lopez comes in for Robinson. And Ellington is subbed in for McCullough. Caldwell Pope, he's checked in for the Pistons.
Yeah, the Pistons ended last season with a record of 32-50. They played decently enough against the rest of the East and had 23 of their 32 wins against the Eastern Conference.
Detroit's gone 7-15 from three-point range tonight. They're not afraid of that shot. He kicks it to Drummond. They set the pick. Drummond, a bit of a disappointing season last year. Not so much in play, but people wanted to see a bigger leap from him. Now, his numbers are still pretty jaw-dropping. But I think he's got so much there to give.
He has a lot of potential, Kevin. And listen, I don't think his play was bad. He just had such huge expectations to live up to. I mean, player development is not a straight line, and it would have been very hard to have him take another huge leap forward. Sometimes you have that sophomore jinx. But I'm expecting a big year from him this season.
The Nets making a switch here. Young's checked in. 50 seconds left in the third quarter of the game. Larkin kicks to Young. Lopez a screen. Here's Ellington. That's short off the rim.
You know, for Drummond last season, his numbers were relatively the same. The expectations placed on him were so hard for him to live up to. Maybe now those will be tempered a bit and he'll play better.
26 seconds left in the third. Lopez left side. Shot from 16. That drops. Lopez has got 4 points in the quarter.
Just a major size difference between the defender and shooter on that possession.
And Greg, without a hand in his face, he's simply going to spray whoever's there.
Here's Jennings. It's deflected. Whoops, anticipated the pass. Turnover. And we just finished the third quarter, and we've got a tight ball game here. Pistons ahead. They're up by 1. 2K Sports back in a moment here in Brooklyn. All right, the fourth quarter of action getting underway. We've had a great one so